crochet designer and a crochet author, and I'm just really thrilled to welcome you to my YouTube channel. I have been sharing a scrap, I'm calling it the Stash Heap Challenge blanket. So I've been trying to get rid of lots of yarn that is in my stash, and have been really inspired in the last year, 2 years, 18 months with quilts, and I've been watching some quilt YouTube videos and I love it, and a bit like a gardening YouTube, I quite like to watch something completely different from my main hobby, and also the design work I do. So I find it really inspiring, and I've been really inspired by how quilters use up every little bit of their scraps, and they call them scraps, and we perhaps would call them stash. So I'm doing a stash heap challenge for myself, and some of you who are subscribers to this channel and followers of my blog, emmavarnham.co.uk, have said, oh, I'd like to get involved in that. So I thought I'd share how far I got so far. So I have decided to use up my stash, which predominantly has come from books that I have been writing. So when I'm writing a book, I tend to have to use not just what's in my stash. I want to know that I'm using the right colour, and I want to know how much of the ball of yarn I'm going to use up. So I tend to use a new ball of yarn, but I frequently get yarn left over, and sometimes I give that away to charity, and I'll give it to people who make things for charity, which is great. And at this time I've got quite a bit. I've got quite a bit of Aran yarn, which I'm using to make a blanket for my son, and I'm going to make another blanket using predominantly DK double knit weight yarn. So we started off, and I think started with this red based square, so I'm going to use a sort of a rainbow of blocks of the what would be classically called, I think, Battenberg pattern, and there are loads of great Battenberg patterns on YouTube. My friend Sandra Cherry has done a really good version of the Battenberg pattern. I will share with you, I think later on, I'm going to try and take an overhead picture for you of what I'm doing myself, just for you to see how I'm putting mine together. But there is a real joy in this, because we can join as you go. We all like to join as we go, because it seems to build up. So I thought I'd just show you to start with. I've got my reds and pinks together, chose reds and pinks, and I'll talk you through some of the yarns in here. Then we're going with the orange. I kind of love saying this together. Yellows. I was a bit worried about the yellows, but I made it work. Then we go to the greens, and weirdly, though I don't use a lot of green in my blanket work, in my crochet succulents and plants work, obviously I've got quite a few in the stash, so I went deep into right into the stash to find those. And then we go, it's not very easy, but I'll just try and show you so you get all the hues together. The blues, I mean, seriously, I've got loads of blues. Wasn't a problem. And the colour that I thought was going to be the hardest colour, because I'm not a huge fan of purple, was purple, but I did fine. And bizarrely, what am I wearing today? I've got a mauve sweatshirt on. So I don't know why I was like, I'm not going to be able to find purples. Anyway, so I've used purples. There's some proper purple here, and then some mauves and lilacs that I've brought in. So quite a lot of this. I'll just talk you through some of the yarns I've used. I've used cream as my joining squares, as my sort of neutral. I love using cream as a neutral. It's not quite as hard as white, and it gives a real bright neutrality to the colours. But you could go like a denim would be really nice as your neutral. I've seen a royal blue looks really great as a neutral. Grey is another one. It's not my jam, but grey you could also use, and black if you really wanted to go really striking and something completely different. Black obviously is a great base. So there you go. I'm quite pleased with that. What do you think? So ultimately I'm going to go, so there are 6 blocks. Yeah, there are 6 blocks. There's going to be 6 blocks down, and I think 5 of these blocks across. When I show you, when you connect 2 blocks together, essentially the corner blocks have to change. So in the reds, I started off being the main colour was in the corner. The next block's down with all the oranges, the cream, the base, the neutral contrast had to be the one in the corner. So for each block there are 13. On this one there's 13 red colours and 12 contrasting colours. I realise I'm looking at myself just to check, but so there's 12 cream contrasting colours and 13 red colours. And what I think I'm going to do is do you a little plan schematic of how I'm going to work it out, and I'll put that on the blog to share for free. I'm not going to, it's a really simple pattern, and if you want to get involved it will be great for you to get involved. So yeah, I'm really liking it, I think. But I thought I'd talk through some of the yarns that I'm using on this. Lots of it is Starcraft Special DK because I've got a lot of that and I enjoy using it. It works beautifully for crocheted blankets because it washes really well. So I'm delighted with it. Let's look at the reds. So on here I've got this gorgeous, so I'm next week I'm doing a live with Jimmy Bean's Wool from America, Reno, Nevada, get me, and we're going to do a live and we're going to talk about my new hat book. And they sent me a skein of this yarn, which is, I want to say Madeline Tosh, but I think I might get corrected, but it's gorgeous. Look at that. And I've made something with it, which I'll reveal on the live, and I'll share it on here too at some point. But just love that pink. It's gorgeous. Lippy is my favourite red from Special DK. It's a really good colour. I prefer it to Matador, and I've got lots of that left over. This is Bellissima or Bambino, and I use that a lot in my blanket, so you know that I would have a lot of that. What else have I got here? This is one of those Marl DK yarns, which I've used in my next Granny Square book, which I love. And this is batik, so Starcraft batik, which I had left over from a make, so I've used those. And you'll see some pinks. That pink, that shocking pink, which I adore, is from the jacket that I made last summer, which I love. So that's that. The oranges I thought were going to be hard, but it's not so bad. This here is actually, these are all DKs, but that I think is a Jameson Smith one that had tiny bits, tiny little scraps, and I'm using them up. I'm thrilled. And that one is a Debbie Bliss from my stash from ages ago. So I'm really getting those out. Vintage sort of pink, peach. So I've gone with the oranges, I've gone into the peaches as well, and kind of russet tones. So I'll show you. On here, yellows. So that's avocado actually, from Bellissimo and Bambino. that's mustard DK, I think. I think that's dandelion. Gosh, I'm doing my name that. Yeah. I can't remember what that is in Special DK. What's that? I can't remember. This is a sheep's yarn, which I use for the pineapple in my cute crocheted food pattern, which is great. Patterns, and yes, that was the pineapple, and I love that. That was really lovely to work with. So there's lots there. Quite good fun putting the avocado in, because that is, you might think was green, but I thought it was really yellowy, and I was worried about getting yellow in. Let's go into the greens. Now, what I will mention on this is I've chosen like a really true colour for this. So essentially, when I've got a green, I've chosen to repeat twice. I have almost 2 squares in. Like apple is a true, I felt like the apple was true green, and the Kelly green, I think this is Kelly green in a Special DK, is a true green. So I've put in 2 squares of that, and then put in others. So there's some lovely kind of spearmint colours in here. I think meadow is in here. It's pistachio. So you'll spot those. This is I am using up different creams in my stash as well. This is actually more a white colour, and I'm not bothered by that, to be fair. I feel it's lovely. I've really enjoyed using, I think this is Aster, and Lobelia is, I think, this one. But I've used a couple of Bambino ones, and that's one of those mild ones from a Special DK. But there's like a denim dungarees, that's denim dungarees. Just trying to see what else is there. No, I think that's about it. That's kind of like really nice tweedy yarn, which you can't see, but it's nice. And then into the purples. So there are some Bambino and Bellissimo in here, like the heather yarns. There's one from South Africa that when I travelled to South Africa, that yarn is Cowgirl Blues, is a South African yarn company. I've included that. But Proper Purple I put in twice. So it kind of you can see it's purple. So I've got Proper Purple in there twice, and there's also there might be Wisteria in here as well. So there you go. What I'm going to do is I am going to join these all together into a long line, and then you can see them all together as the one colour, and you can see where I'm going with it. But I am loving it. I am also, I mean, for heaven's sakes, Emma. So I think I could make virtually 2 or 3 of these blankets with all of this. I have been making the little squares to start with. What's easier to do is to make enough squares. So for the next red square, the corners are going to be cream. And I'm liking making up a square because it feels like you've done something and you can see it coming together. Do you know what I mean? It feels like you've got somewhere. So the next block I'm going to make up, I've already made up 12 of the red based hues, and in some cases I've actually sewn in the ends, which is very well behaved. And then what I'll do, having those 12 ready, I'll start making the cream join as you go squares to join them all together. So what I thought I'd do in a bit is I would show you how I join them together, making the first square and then joining 3 of the squares together, so you get an idea of how I do it. I thought that might be fun, and I've do that. So I've probably made up all of the red squares for the rest of the blanket now. And then we shan't mention, if you, in Britain, I use a lot of different yarn companies, but I buy yarn from different places. And if you get gauze bags with your orders, what I've started to do for this is divide up the colours. So the orange are ready to go. I think I've already done the red, the orange, and then I've got ones upstairs with all the different colours in, and it's just really helped me to go, okay, I've done this colour, and I've really looked for scraps and gone, okay, we can use this up. So it's been exciting, and I'm really thrilled about it. So I will come back to you. It'll be a while for me, but a second for you, with my completed sewn together group of squares, and let's have a look and see what it looks like. Right, I have now sewn together all of the patches. Are you saying the word patches? I'm watching a lot of quilting anyway. This is all of them together. So 6 square blocks. As you can see, the blue, I've used a different cream white base. It's much lighter. I don't know if that's going to irritate me because I don't have a lot of that. So that might stand out. So I might have to go back and redo it all with the cream. But in essence, I'm really happy with how it looks. I have to unpick that and I'll tell you if I decide to. I haven't decided one way or the other yet. So I'm thrilled. Essentially each block, square block, is about 10 inches. So this length, or the length of the blanket, is going to be about 60. It's slightly larger than that. Just by joining it will be 60 inches, about 154 centimetres, and then width wise is going to be about 50 inches. And yeah, so there you go. And I think it's going to be really, really lovely. I'm trying not to think too much about where each square is. I'm not overthinking it. I just want to enjoy making it. So there you go. So now I'm going to record for you an overhead of making the square and then joining the square, how I've joined it as I go. I have enjoyed joining through the back loop only, which gives sort of the ridge of the front loop at the front, and I will show you how that works out. So at the moment that's what it looks like on the other side, and with this blanket I've really enjoyed doing that, so, and I think I will continue to do that, and it's a great join as you go. Look, so hopefully you're liking it. I don't know where I'm getting the influence. This is an original. Things come back. I don't know when I made this, but it's years and years old. Years and years old. So there you go. Anyway, I shall show you how I've joined them. So I promised you that I would show you how I do the squares, and I'm just going to show you. You can do it by doing a slip knot, and then 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hook through and slip stitch to create a loop. And then how I like to do it is do 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is equivalent of a treble, or it's a double in American crochet, US terminology, 3 chains, which is equivalent to UK treble, and then work 3 treble into the center. So that's the first corner, then 2 chain, which creates the second corner, 3 treble, I'm going really fast, but I just want to show you how I do it, and you can use the pattern on my blog and schematic to have a look at it. 2 more chains to create the third corner. 3 trebles, that's in US terminology a double. And the last corner, 1, 2, and then it's 2 trebles into the center, and there you are going, the first chains create that first treble, and you create a slip stitch there, maybe do another one, and you're right in the corner ready to go for the next round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which creates your beginning chain stitch with 2 chains for the corner. Going to work 2 trebles or 2 trebles into that corner. That's a double for US terminology. And then work into the top of the trebles on the previous round. 1, 2, 3. 2 trebles into the corner of the previous round. Another 2 chains to create a corner. Another 2 stitches in that corner. Now work across the trebles of the previous round. 1, 2, 3. Work 2 more trebles, 2 chain, 1, 2, 2 trebles. I'm going really fast, but this is quite a well-known solid granny square pattern, and I'm just showing you how I do mine. 1, 2, 3 trebles. Work 2 trebles into this corner with 2 chains, 1, 2, 2 more trebles. There's a knot. Bing! 1 more in there. Now you're going to work across the last side of the square. 1, 2, 3. Now work 1 treble over into that last corner, and this is how I like to do my granny squares. Using the starting chain as your first treble, and now do a slip stitch into the corner. I like to do just 1 more slip stitch, and you have then completed a square. I know I did that super fast. Mostly the reason is just to show you very quickly, it's a very basic pattern, but also I just wanted to show you how I'm now going to join up my squares. So ideally I want to join 3, I'll just show you, I'm going to join 3 squares together. and they're join as you go. They are slightly different days. I might have a different tension, slightly different yarn, but ultimately it comes out really well. If I was doing larger granny squares or not doing join as I go, I would always block my squares. I love blocking my squares. I think it really helps when you're joining, especially when you're joining with sewing. But in this case, what I would do is just join as I go. So I'm going to take the coloured square and I'm going to put it right sides together. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go into the back loop of the first chain that I come across. It's a back loop. If I slightly split that yarn there, try and find the back loop. I've got the back loop there, and I'm going to do a double crochet stitch. That would be a single crochet in American terms. Okay, so I'm going to do back loop only, and I'm going to join each stitch through the back loop with a double crochet stitch. Here we go. I'm going to show you why the back loop really suits me. Just carefully picking out that back loop. In some cases, sometimes I've caught the front as well, but I'm trying not to. And we're going to go into the back loop of one of those chains. There are 2 chains in the corner. I'm going to go into just one, the first one you come across. Here you are. And in there. Let's just check it, shall we? Oh, it looks nice. There you go. You can see that ridge then. Just a really nice technique. I'm going to open that out and then I'm going to put in the next one. So this one is going to be here. I'm going to find that first of the chains. I'm going to find first of chains and I'm just going to collect those and then I'm going to do a double crochet. And this is just really nice because you do the joining, contrasting square, and then as you've made it, you join it to your coloured squares that you're using for that block. Okay. And let's just go, you have to just sometimes, I like to have sewn in the ends before I do this. We're getting to the bit where it was the first chain, which is a bit trickier. So now attached 2 squares. Now I'm going to go for that last square. Don't forget it's right sides together. I find it easier to work with the contrasting yarn at the back. I like this is a Clover Soft Touch hook. I always use those. They just suit me. There are others that people use. I try to use the equivalent stitch for each one. I'm using a double crochet stitch to attach them. You could use a slip stitch if you prefer, but this is my preference. You could also sew the squares together as well. I wouldn't get precious about it, but I like keeping it on the hook, and I think you get a really nice firm outcome. So there you go. 3 sides have been attached, and I will just fasten off. Just cut enough there. I'll just show you. I'll just pull that through, and I love it. I'm just going to see if I can find you when I'm weaving in, my top tip would be when you weave in, that's not very easy, go backwards and forwards 3 times, as that will mean that your granny square will not unravel. And I also, if I wanted to close out a hole, I can slightly pull that center yarn, and I really like to go, so my centers don't unravel, I like to go backwards and forwards 3 times. There you go. I'm really happy with that. So if you like the pattern, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to go on the Emma Varnham blog and on Instagram and tag me into your Stash Heap challenge projects you might be doing, and I'd love to see them, and give me your comments. There's really a wide range of Battenberg patterns and postage stamp patterns that you can use, and I'm hoping that you will have found inspiration to use up your stash and to make something beautiful with your stash. That's the beauty of crochet. You're just reusing your yarn and making something beautiful out of it. So I'm hoping you've really enjoyed this video. If you have, please, do put on that bell icon, and so you know when we're going to have another video, but also like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll give you another update soon, see how we get on with making this blanket. Bye.